So you get
Thank
some
you, guys.
sleep. See, are you going back tomorrow, or are you?
I'm gonna go to Atlanta too.
Okay. Let's see you later. Bye.
What's that?
We're all getting along too well.
This is really in many ways a dream to run for president of the United States, but what makes it an even more special thing is to run with people that you've known for years, that you respect, that you love, in fact. And that's what makes me worried when when we hear people sort of taking shots at folks, not about policy differences, but about character, and these are all people with great character. All right. This guy gave me this like enough of Cory, enough of your sophoristic. I'm calling you out right now. Come on, let's just bring it. Let's come on, let's go. Let's do this. You want to do this? Let's do this. Can we get some Vaseline now? So go ahead.
Okay. How do you feel the party could better make the early nominee contest more diverse?
Look, we have a problem in this country and in the Democratic Party with diversity. And I hear this in barbershops. I hear this when I go campaign for other elected leaders. I show up to communities and people are like, why do we only see y'all during election time? And that goes from often sentiments you have amongst electorate all the way to when I got to the United States Senate. I had a Senate worker who was African American come up to me on my first week there and start crying because they were so excited to see me as a United States Senator, the fourth popularly elected black person in that office. But what made me mad in my early days there is it's the Democratic Party, and I go and look at a lot of the committees, especially the Judiciary Committee. I couldn't even find a black person that was on that committee, a black staffer. So I'm really excited about this last 4 years because I've seen my party make better strides for diversity than I've ever seen them. Chuck Schumer, where I went to talk about the problem that you can't have a Senate Democrats who's been elected by a diverse population, then only have white people employed. And he agreed, me and Brian Schatz got him to do this, and we didn't have to convince him, he was right there with us, that every Senate Democrat had to now publish the diversity statistics of their staff. And can you guess what's happened to the number of minorities and women hired in the United States Senate? You just don't want to give me anything. I'm trying here, man. Throw me a bone. Can you guess?
It went up.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Prize for you. Yeah, it went up. And so, look, I just think that we need to be far more focused on diversity in our party. We need to be talking about these issues in other sectors as well. There's not enough diversity in the boardroom. There's not enough diversity in VC lending. I could go through all the areas. I went down to Washington, maybe I don't know why I'm venting to you tonight. But I remember going down, just looking at our pension funds. It was 2013-14, and I know from Texas, a red state, to New York, a blue state, about almost between 5 and 10% of their pension funds are being managed by women or minorities. And by the way, Barclays Bank and a couple other reports show they get better returns. I go down to the United States, and by the way, this is how tremendous fortunes are created. And I go down to the United States federal government, which has the largest pensions probably perhaps on the earth, hundreds of billions of dollars, and ask, do you have a diversity program, inclusion program for women or minorities? Not one exists, not 1 cent being managed by a firm run by someone who's a minority or a woman. And so, look, I don't know why it's taking so long, but when I'm on that debate stage now, I get very excited. You've got a lot of diversity. Asian American, openly gay American, biracial black woman, a big bald guy from New Jersey. You have incredible diversity, and we're getting better, but we have to move faster because this is directly related to the policy that we make and the decisions and what prioritizations. And the last thing I'll get off my chest, this is like a therapy session for me now, I appreciate you. But when I went to the Forum for Formerly Incarcerated People, I was angry. There were 3 of us there. And I said to the folks, I said, this party, like the other party, has a lot of trust to earn with people who are formerly incarcerated. Formerly incarcerated, many people in this country were doing things that 2 of the last 3 presidents admitted to doing. So we have to start prioritizing people of color. We have to start prioritizing, better prioritizing people of color, better prioritizing women, better prioritizing religious diversity, better prioritizing Americans with disabilities. They can't be a side issue or a line in a speech or a tab on a website. They have to be at the forefront because this is the diverse electorate that elects Democrats. It's also what makes this country better, stronger, and great.
Senator.
I just spent so much time with you though, man.
Senator-
Come on.
Senator,
Yes.
can we get your reaction to Mayor Bloomberg apologizing for his support of stop and frisk policies in New York City?
I'm happy you did. Others?
So what do you think, sort of going off that, Yvonne Patrick is also entering, so that's also someone that's bringing diversity to the field. Do you feel like there really is room for another person or a need for another candidate at this point?
You know, why, I'm not the person that should decide that. The voters should decide that. This is a wonderful country where people who can run for president if they believe that they should. And so I've said this metaphor since I began this race. When I ran hurdles in high school, my coach very purposely told me, do not look at the lane next to you. Look at the race you have to run and run your race. I'm running my race and we'll see what the voters decide.
Senator,
Yes.
you mentioned the debate stage. It seems like you got good reviews through the first few debates.
Did you give me any of those good reviews?
Oh, well, that's not our job.
What?
But do
You
feel
can
like-
tell me privately if you think I did a good job.
Do you feel like the strategy, though, this week has to change at all, given that, your performances haven't really landed in the polls? And is there more urgency this time since you haven't qualified for December yet?
Are you trying to make a tired man angry here? Come on. Let me say two things that you said in that question. The first is the polls. The polls have never, in your lifetime or mine, ever predicted who from the Democratic Party would go on to be president. And the people that win are usually the people that are polling around where I am. Carter, Bill Clinton polling in the low single digits, Barack Obama 21 points I think around this time behind Hillary Clinton. The polls have never predicted it. The polls are not the right indicators, in my opinion, that folks should be looking at to see strength. We lead in, my campaign leads in Iowa and New Hampshire in Democratic Party elected leaders at the local level. That's a pretty good indicator, especially in a caucus state where you want to have the mayor of the town in there with you. We have one of the best teams on the ground. At least the Des Moines Register is not like you because they do give reviews of who has the better team. And me and Elizabeth Warren are said to have two of the best teams. Net favorability, if you want to look at polls, because 80% of people, if you push down on, they haven't made their final decision. But one is net favorability. How well liked is a person in the state? Well, the last poll that we looked at, I'm third in net favorabilities. So we have a lot of the indices that in the past have actually really determined who would do well in Iowa, like Cory and Edwards, who were polling 6th and 7th less than 4 weeks before the primaries in 2004, and they finished 1 and 2. So that's the first thing I say that we're not going to look at. The second thing is I'm not changing strategy. I'm not focus grouping and poll testing who I am. I'm going up, I'm standing before the American public and telling them very simply, I'm running because the values that I think are important. On the debate stage, the person you've seen has been pretty consistent, and that's what I plan on being. And you're right. We've seen focus groups that we didn't do, that CNN did and others, at a debates where there's consensus that I won those debates. And maybe they're not performing to the polls that you're looking at, but you know what? They're helping us raise tremendous money after it. Online contributions really spike for us after debates. And they're helping us get more and more people to join our campaign. There's a lot of election left. I don't know how this is going to turn out. None of us have ever seen a primary like this. But the one thing I know is I think I've got the best strategy to be the President of the United States, but I guess I'll tell you this. If I'm not, and I'm sitting at home in Newark, New Jersey, watching my big flat screen TV, and suddenly thinking about my run for president, I want to be a guy that can feel very good that I ran from an authentic space and I stayed true to myself. And that's what you'll see in the debate.
Senator,
Yes.
Senator, speaking of diversity in this conversation we're having in the Democratic Party, do you ever get the sense that you and Senator Harris, and for that matter, Senators Warren and Klobuchar, are held to a different standard than the white guys who are in the race and are currently considered the front runners?
So I grew up in an all-white town, and I remember being different standards. I remember that I get pulled over by cops far more than my friends. I know I got followed in department stores far more than my friends did. We have to have a candidate that can authentically speak about the ongoing challenges of race in America. As far as the debate stages, guys, I'm in this campaign. I'm focusing on my race, not about how I'm being treated versus somebody else. I'm focusing on my race. And I know that the last Democratic president, last time I checked, was an African-American guy named Barack Obama, and he won. And so I'm gonna leave that for the pundits, those kind of things, but I will tell you this, we do live in a country where implicit racial bias is dramatically affecting everything from mortgage industry to employment, and definitely the criminal justice system, which is, as Michelle Alexander called it, our horrific new Jim Crow. And my mom is surprised at all the fights they did. My mom helped plan the March on Washington, involved in sit-ins, and now she's got a nation where there's more African Americans under criminal supervision than all the slaves in 1850. This should be an outraging all of us. And I want the next president to be outraged by what's going on and have it be a driving force for what their agenda is. And if I'm president, you can be darn well sure it'll be that.
We got
Senator
Booker.
You're like one more, and you pick the person. What if he intimidates me? What if I don't want to go to him? This person right here, and that's a gender biased question too. You went to the man, the boy. So how about we're gonna go 2 questions? I'll regret this because your question's gonna stick me on something, but then we're gonna end this. Go ahead.
You've talked a lot about diversity, and Nevada is one of the states that has been called the most reflective, diverse for the country. Do you think that Nevada should move up in the caucus since it is such a diverse state?
I'm gonna leave that to others. I'm playing the field as it lies right now. But I will tell you this: I'm happy that the first 4 primary states have some differences in geography, differences in race, and I'm happy that the first 4 states are relatively, to New York, California, even New Jersey, are relatively smaller states where TV ads and tons of money isn't what makes a difference, but you can actually go out and meet lots and lots of the electorate and move them that way. I think that the good thing I have to say that I've learned from this is that as a guy who lived in New Jersey, was just tired of always being at the end of the process. Now that I'm in this race, I think it's really good that with states like Nevada, Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina, really take it seriously. And I meet people that feel it's responsibility to meet the candidates and really see what they're about. It's something special about this process. All right, man. There's a lot of build up to your question, sir. And you threw a lot of shade on these other journalists here that one day might be in a position to hire you. Because they don't wear fedoras. I know that they don't. Are they less cool than you because they're fedora-less?
No, but I will congratulate you. Thank you for not calling me that.
Go ahead, my young brother.
So from Iowa to New Hampshire to here in Nevada and all across the country, I've talked to your supporters and they feel that you're genuine and sincere.
Does handsome ever come in there, man? You can tell me, honestly.
So,
Yes.
to those who have not met you and also haven't heard much about you, what would you say to them to show that you are genuine and sincere and want to serve them in the overall office?
That's a good question. Look, I know when I would sit and watch presidential elections, I was always attracted to candidates, even if I disagreed with them, that I felt were authentic and coming from a sincere place. That's why John McCain's first election, I really liked the guy. Never would vote for him, but God, I was attracted to him because he seemed so authentic. I was a Hillary Clinton supporter, but I think Bernie, people know who Bernie Sanders is. He comes off as deeply authentic. I don't know what to say to that. It's some kind of thing you have to be it, sincere, and let people feel you. My mom used to always tell me, who you are speaks so loudly people can't hear what you say. But if you need things to point to, because I don't know if you're writing or is this print, radio, YouTube? What are you doing this one for?
I have a blog and my dad records.
You have a blog and your dad records. Your dad gets no attention whatsoever. He's like the man behind the camera. I can't even see his face. It's shining, the light's shining. Is your dad handsome? Because that might be what you look like later.
He prefers to be behind the camera.
Okay. So let me tell you this. I've learned in my life to watch people and what they're doing when the cameras are not on. Just for you, I have this saying in my life that I've come to love. It's from a humorist named Dave Barry, who said that someone who is nice to you but not nice to the waiter is not a nice person. And so I just like to see people when, before they are trying to run for president, what are they really about? How do they treat their staffs? How do they treat the people that work in the Senate dining room? What are the choices they make with their free time? So this is all I can say to you is that my whole life has been dealing with these issues. When I was coming out of law school, I decided to move into the city of Newark and become a tenants' rights lawyer. And my job wasn't to be politics. I can tell you the people who convinced me to run because they thought I would do better for their cause. And my whole life has been staying loyal to that community, even now in the United States Senate. I'm running for president for communities like mine, for the people, especially that are too often left out, looked down upon, left aside. And whether that's somebody in rural America or whether that's somebody home alone right now, feeling isolated, taking care of a child with special needs, those are the folks that drive me every single day. And whether you find that sincere or not, I don't know, but I'm just doing my best every day to be the best version of myself. All right? Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.